Would that it were otherwise, but it ain't. Frankly, Senator, this political tightrope act that you've tried on FISA the last 2 weeks, which from the outside seems to have been intended to increase the chances of your election, probably hasn't helped that chance in the slightest. There is, fortunately, a most unexpected solution. Your second chance. Since the final version of the FISA bill was passed down from on high, John Dean has been reading it and rereading it and cross-referencing it with other relevant law and thinking. Something bothered him about it. Or more correctly, something didn't bother him about it. Turns out lawyers at the ACLU have been doing the same thing for the last 10 days. John compared notes with them and will be devoting his column at Find Law this week to this unlikely conclusion. The Republicans who wrote most of this bill at Mr. Bush's urging managed to immunize the telecoms from civil suits, but not from criminal prosecution. Senator, here is John Dean's summary of his findings, which he sent me this morning. It is clear not only from the language of the bill, which must be read in the context of other related statutes to be clearly understood, but also from the legislative history, that there is absolutely no criminal immunity for anyone in these FISA amendments. Moreover, Senator, it seems as if a lot of people have known this for a long time. During the January 24, 2008 debate in the Senate, Senator Brownback noted the immunity provisions would not apply to the government or government officials. Cases against the government regarding the alleged programs would continue, and the provisions would apply only to civil and not criminal cases. In fact, Senator, just last week, Attorney General Mukasey and Director of National Intelligence McConnell sent a letter, for the record, to House Speaker Pelosi, emphasizing that the liability protection, quote, does not immunize any criminal conduct. And if you ask, Senator, about the president responding to all this by belching out a series of pardons or a blanket pardon to those who broke the law on his behalf, Dean has you covered here, too. It would require acceptance by them of the fact that they had broken the law and thus be an admission of guilt. And a blanket pardon would be an admission by Bush that his war on terror has been a lawless undertaking, operating beyond the bounds of the Constitution and statutes that check the powers of the president and the executive branch. It would be admission by Bush, too, of his own criminal culpability, which is why Nixon refused to grant his aides a pardon. Senator, sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. Keep your eye on the wording of the legislation to make sure the Republicans don't realize its flaws. Then vote for the amendment to strip telecom immunity out of the FISA bill. And after that fails, vote for the FISA bill if that is your final answer. Then the minute the president has signed the FISA bill, you announce that you voted for it because it renews FISA and because it permits a bigger prize than just civil suits, that it allows for criminal prosecution of past illegal eavesdropping. Say loudly that your understanding of this bill is such that if you are elected, your Attorney General will, on your instructions, begin a full-scale criminal investigation of the telecom companies who collaborated with President Bush in eavesdropping on Americans. And mention, oh, by the way, that your Attorney General will subpoena such records, notes, email, data, and testimony from any and all Bush administration officials, FBI or CIA personnel, or any members of the executive branch who may have much as breathed in the general direction of these nefarious acts of domestic spying at Mr. Bush's behest. Wait, you say. There's a political hit waiting for you there, too. Another Obama-voted thing, terror stop. Actually, Senator, you've already gone down this road when you spoke to my colleague Will Bunch of the Philadelphia Daily News on April 14th of this year. He asked about the possibility of criminal investigations of the 43rd president and his henchmen. What I would want to do, you told him, is have my Justice Department and my Attorney General immediately review the information that's already there and to find out, are there inquiries that need to be pursued? I can't prejudge that because we don't have access to all the material right now. You're also right that I would not want my first term consumed by what was perceived on the part of Republicans as a partisan witch hunt, because I think we've got too many problems we've got to solve. Now, if I found out that there were high officials who knowingly, consciously broke existing laws, engaged in cover-ups of those crimes with knowledge forefront, then I think a basic principle of our Constitution is nobody above the law. And I think that's roughly how I would look at it. Make this clear, Senator. You've already taken the political hit from the right for saying you'd seek to strip out or rescind immunity. You've already taken the political hit from the left for saying you would vote for the FISA bill even with that immunity. You have paid the political price in advance. Now buy yourself and those who have most ardently supported you something worth more than just class action suits against Verizon. Explain that you are standing aside on civil immunity, not just for political expediency, but for a greater and more tangible good, the holding to account of the most corrupt, the most dangerous and the most anti-democracy presidential administration in our long history. Of course, if you disagree with this interpretation, if you think the FISA bill does not have this giant loophole, or if you don't think you as president would be ready to support criminal prosecution of, well, criminals, then your duty is clear. Vote against the FISA bill if it still carries that immunity. The Republicans are going to call you the names any which way, Senator. They're going to cry regardless, Senator. And as the old line goes, give them something to cry about. Good night and good luck.